Starrett, and
hey, welcome back to MobilityWOD, Part 2, Katie Hogan, All-American. We're talking about kind of getting into this last corner, the stable corner for volleyball players. We got a note on the email saying, hey, we have athletes who are having a hard time adopting this position. Part 1, we just filmed some ideas about just training the stability of this position, however you do that as a coach, but some easy techniques to be able to start working on giving kids a place in which to live. At least they know where to go. So Part 2 is some implications of what happens if you can't hold that position, and more importantly, some simple tools to fix it. So, Kate, can you talk about what that looks like, what happens?
Yeah, the coach was asking us specifically about hitting and blocking, and if you think about in blocking, I mean, maybe if you're doing blocking drills and you've got your athletes in a strong position and they're just reaching, they might be able to maintain that position. As soon as we get into a game situation or a scrimmage where there's some sort of like a swing block or the athletes are moving maybe laterally, if they're not able to find that position, those thumbs aren't going to get over, they're going to rotate in, and that ball is going to shank off on one or other side. When you think about it, that's the easiest way to kind of tool off of someone else's hands. If they're like this, you can choose whichever hand you want to hit into. It's going to go off to one side or the other, and you're going to hit through that block. So coaches are going to train this reaching position. If athletes aren't able to find that when they're moving into a swing block to reclaim that at the top, they're going to be in trouble. They're going to break apart, they're going to lose the block.
So if I'm practicing my gymnastic dismounts, that's less good? Right? And the problem is that this dismount position gives me a lot of internal rotation so that I can create space to overhead. But that's not a functional position.
Exactly.
Or a stable position.
Right.
And if I'm blocking and swinging back, then I arrive with no power.
Right, and if a ball is being hit at you at maximum force and you're like this, you're not going to have the pressing ability that you would if you were where we're reaching and trying to get you to, here.
Now, one of the things we're talking about is, in all ranges of flexion, the stable position for the shoulders actually rotate.
Right.
So what we see, though, as athletes, you can't get to end range and then hope to be stable. You have to sort of arrive in that stability.
And we'll practice that in controlled environments in blocking situations with volleyball teams. We'll practice just this, but as soon as there's movement, athletes need to know how to reclaim that on their own and
now,
go to it.
You said, I see ready position, I watch the Olympics a lot.
Sure.
Right? This is the ready position for a lot of our athletes.
Right.
Hands up, because this ends up being a stable control position. Right. And when I pancake, right, pancake block, which is totally means you're in a good position, right, not late. But it means when I foosh, I don't destroy my shoulders either.
Right, yeah. It's a reach, it's not a flop.
It's not a flop.
Yeah.
But you were saying that you guys, you bring your hands in and then try to get the elbows up?
Well, see, when we were taught how to put together a platform, it's not like anything like this, where we don't have that ugliness. We're going to try and get people here first and then bring it together from there. And then reach from this position, something that's a little stronger than this. That's going to break apart.
So you see in the same rotational components, you're prioritizing rotation and then coming through. And that's one of the same things, right, that this idea is that if we're not looking at the rotational component overhead, I'm not going to find the stability. If I don't think about the rotational component and then applying it, I'm not going to find the stability.
Exactly.
That's pretty badass. I'm not going to lie. Shing. It's weird. Oh, American. All right. So let's talk about that missing corner. I'm going to give you just a couple simple drills. The first drill is thinking about, look, the habitus of the average collegiate athlete or high school athlete, a lot of time spent over in what we call the DB position, on the computer, on the text machine. What we tend to see is that the athlete gets stiff to the upper back. When this happens, the easy way to fix the overhead shoulder position is to reconcile and fix the thoracic position. To that end, we've got double across ball thoracic mode. We show that real quick. Just anywhere, go ahead and turn a little bit to the camera. So simple, we've done this on MobilityWOD a ton. Basic start, let's fix the thoracic spine, put it on your back. Right, she can hug herself, rack side to side, but also I can start to hit that position of emphasis, and you'll notice that she's keeping her armpits forward, so she doesn't get into the habit of doing what? The broken position, which is the elbow bent, turned out position. I want to see her stable, so she can grab that hand even, let's exaggerate it, and then start to press overhead. We can try to keep the rib cage down, and she can teeter-totter back and forth over it, keeping the arm straight, or she can just go back and forth, one segment at a time, even one arm at a time. Right, so just hitting one arm at a time. Retest on this is pretty powerful. We can do the same thing, the single lacrosse ball. Instead of the double working on the motion segment, we can actually try to hit the rib, which acts like a strut and really limits a lot of the excursion of the shoulder blade. So single lacrosse ball, same concept, try to hit. So she can bridge up, and then we're still practicing armpit in a stable position, and then trying to press overhead. And then, I'm not saying as a coach you would do this, but that's the corner I want my athlete in, with a stable shoulder position, winding up, and it's an easy idea. That's where I want you to try to work there for me, okay? Keep this down, rib cage in, and press it. There we go. So, 2 pieces for the kind of the joint itself, the thoracic spine. Come on back up. What's we come up with? Also, one of our favorites.
Yeah, right. Come on.
Simple fix.
You can do it?
Crossball on the barbell. This is the barbell bubo. Go ahead and show it. Yep. So it goes the lacrosse ball goes into the first rib, just into this pit here, and then this arm goes up. And what I'm really doing is, as a good friend, I just come in and I just externally rotate the shoulder. She can externally rotate actively. She realizes she wants a little more pressure on it. Easy way, quick fix. Table lacrosse balls, cheap and simple, and then she can work on those rotational components and lift. Rib cage is always in and down, abs on, and then pressing up. Be able to get back into those corners. Radical change there. A couple minutes is the key. We also talked about, what do we have outside? First rib, T-spine, and then a couple things that we find that on our athletes that tight lats internally rotate me and limit a lot of this overhead position. So some simple lat release by lat smash. Go ahead. Jumping on any foam roller or hard surface. Arm out, arm in a stable position, and then just working either longitudinally or really more importantly side to side. Trying to think about smashing. Oftentimes we use the analogy that if it's beef jerky, you're not going to stretch beef jerky, you need to smash beef jerky. Right? Because Katie's a good friend of mine, I can always add a little bit more smashality. Thank you. Yeah, that's a word, smashality. That's for you, Jesse. That's Jesse Burdick on the camera. Did we mention that? All right. So there, that's going to release that, improve that overhead position. Also, stiff tricep. Oh, yeah. So when the tricep gets stiff, the arm blows out, right? When the quads are stiff in extension, the leg turns out. When the triceps are stiff, the elbow turns out into a weak position, right? So, easy tricep smash. This can be done prone. And one of the reasons to maybe do it on your stomach is that, let's do it on your stomach, is that it gets her in her arm in an overhead position. So in this position, she can roll side to side and start to find out those groovy, ugly places all the way down. Tight triceps, especially that long head, limits that overhead position. And then we'll show you our last two. Come on. We can go to the pull-up rack. Drive-by torture. It's cool. It's cool. I got you. Go ahead and show us that overhead position. One of the questions we get, or the things we talk about, watch the mic there, Jess, is that when we ask athletes, hey, this is the position I need to be in, one of the problems we ask, how much time do you actually spend with your arm over your head? And the answer is none. So go ahead and back around. Just do flat knees. So the key here is that she's blocked. She went ahead and put herself right into the position where the shoulder's going to be loose. So she comes out, all the way out. We want to prioritize the rotation first, and with a partner, now she can back up and start to put that all over her head. And what's great about this, we're going to catch the lat, we're going to catch all of the components that limit, including the fascia, but that's the position. Bias the rotation first, get your athletes in the habit of biasing rotation before they start adding the tension. A couple minutes over in this position, doing contract, relax, and then finally, show us what your favorite is.
Putting the elbow through, grabbing here, and then leaning into it. I feel like this is right where I would be if I was going to be hitting.
Instead of just snapping.
Right, exactly.
One of the ways that we can bias this is that we've got her end range flexion, and we really can work on the extra rotation component. So hand comes up to the elbow, pulls the elbow in tight, and then she just turns away from the band to add a little extra rotation. So that ends up making that worser. TM. And that's a pretty solid, stable shoulder position, because I have the shoulder and end range flexion as an extra rotation. And that's an easy way to improve the quality of being able to hit through without blowing the elbow out. Yeah? Anything you would go back in time and do differently now?
All of that. We didn't do any type of mobility at all. We did a little bit of stretching and nothing with bands or foam rollers or balls. We would kind of stretch on each other, something like this, do a little bit of resistance stuff with each other, but I think all this is going to make the difference.
You said that you came in with a pretty good strength basis.
Yeah.
Do you think that you see a lot of kids doing that same thing, or is that missing?
I'm seeing more and more of it in high school level. They're adding a strength and conditioning program. I mean, like I said, I started strength training when I was pretty young, so that helped. But a lot of volleyball players that I see in club and in college still don't have that shoulder strength yet. So I think these two components together are going to really help a lot of those athletes out.
See you guys tomorrow.